It's that time. Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
And I'm very tired. And I'm Caleb.
Welcome, Caleb. Today is another pre recorded show, so unfortunately, we won't be able to chat with all you fine people, but we will read your comments and check all that out. So, this is all Caleb's fault. He's going to go see Beetlejuice tomorrow, the
Yeah.
Broadway show.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be my first exposure to Beetlejuice.
yeah, this is the way to do it. The Broadway show.
Well, I mean, okay, so my first exposure to Mary Poppins was actually the movie Saving Mr. Banks, and then I saw Mary Poppins Returns, and then I saw Mary Poppins. So
Okay. I mean, that's how I watch the Evil Dead movies in backwards. I watched Army of Darkness, then Evil Dead 2, then Evil Dead 1, so it happens.
that's funny.
Yeah. So we got a very big show for you today. X Men 97 has wrapped up. I haven't talked to Caleb about this hardly at all, so I
Nope.
have no idea what his thoughts are.
Intentionally.
Uh, Me and Jonathan had a long chat about the finale. So I've got a lot to say about it. I have a lot of predictions for season two. So I'm super, super hyped about it. So we will be getting to that. Plus, we have a ton of news to go over. But before all that, Caleb, how you been doing?
I'm doing okay. Like I said, I'm a little tired, and that is because uh, I'm here to talk to you. Hold on. You know what? We're gonna
Let's pause real quick, Caleb. You're turning into a
yes.
robot as you say, "I'm tired," and your whole screen is going pixelated.
Oh, jeez.
So why don't you log off and hop back on?
Yeah.
And while we wait for Caleb, this may get edited out. I don't know. Caleb is in charge of uploading. But if it's not edited out, I am sorry. That's just Caleb's laziness, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm only his uncle. He doesn't really obey me or listen to me. So, but hopefully he'll be right back. As I was saying, super excited about X Men '97. Uh, I thought it was fantastic. I've got a lot of interesting ideas about season two. So Caleb's back. He looks a lot better, a lot crisp and clear.
Do you want me to edit that out?
You can either leave it or edit it out. I know I was talking about you being lazy and not editing it out, so it's up to you.
All right.
So we were asking how you were doing. You were saying you
Yeah.
were tired, and then you
Yeah.
turned into a
Yeah.
robot.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Like I said, I am a little tired, because I'm here to talk to the people. I'm here to talk to the people about the dangers of a destiny addiction. Because they have released the Pantheon, which is several raid encounters of years past, but extremely difficult. Cameron and I, 15 light levels under, we couldn't get halfway through it. We spent our time on the third encounter of six for about 5 hours, and I went to sleep at 5 o'clock last night.
And we're recording this at noon the next day. So,
Yeah, noon your time. So
oh, okay, you
yeah,
got an extra hour of your time. Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't matter, but but other than that, so I've actually been getting back into I don't know about you, but like the Cape Crusader stuff is actually getting me pretty hyped for Batman again. And so I've gone back and I started watching uh the animated series. And I've also been watching videos on the Arkham games, just kind of living vicariously because my PlayStation 4 has been dead for probably about a year and a half at this point, and I just don't feel like fixing it. Um, but so I've been watching videos on like the Arkham series, living vicariously, like wishing I could play it. Kind of like it's kind of like Barbosa in Pirates of the Caribbean, where he's watching Keira Knightley eat, even though he can't. um, But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just something about the Cape Crusader, and the fact that it's like there's something about it that's like getting me hyped for Batman again. Um, and so I've really just been consumed by that, and I've also like been thinking of, okay, if I got what is it, like DC Universe, is that what it's called, whatever it is, if I got DC Universe, like what storylines could I get him to read for the podcast? And so I've been thinking about that as well. uh
If we got DC, we would definitely be reading Justice League International without
yeah.
a question. And maybe I would say let's read through Teen Titans by Wolfman and I can't remember their guy's name.
uh
I want to say Mars, but I don't know if that's right.
no, Marv Wolfman is,
Marv Wolfman. That's my brain's connecting the dots there.
oh my god, you've no.
Is it Perez?
Perez, yes.
Yeah. Because I don't know if you saw like last month's, I guess it was Nightwing issue or Robin issue or something. It was Marv Wolfman shaking Nightwing's hand and
Yep.
saying that George would be so proud of you, or he wish he could be
Yep.
here, or something. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And then I was also talking with Cameron about the you take the good, you take the bad, the facts of life thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, we're wanting to do a new series where we look at comic book creators who are infamous for one reason or another. We take a look at like some of their best stuff and some of their worst stuff, and we decide whether or not they are deserving of that.
So take for example Brian Michael Bendis. Some of the
Oh,
most important Marvel stories of all time, and some really bad decisions. So
yeah,
and Superman and all that stuff. So
yeah.
um, that's what we're thinking about doing a series. We don't know when we're gonna do that, but soon. So
Hey,
go ahead.
can I? Can we? So I was talking with Cameron about it,
Uh-huh.
and he and I agreed on Bend because we were going through the list. I was like, so what's the bad thing? What's the good thing? I want to know if you agree with us on what's the bad for Bendis. Um,
I have a list. I mean, it's a long list.
is his Guardians on there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Because we feel like his Guardians is the pinnacle of it. Like it's not his worst thing, but everything that's wrong with Bendis is in that book.
That X-Men.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well, and we're talking about the fact that Star Lord is self-insert and he's in love with Kitty Pryde.
and this is following Ultimate Spider-Man, where Kitty Pryde also showed up.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And then of course Bendis's best is Ultimate Spider-Man and Daredevil. I mean it's Daredevil. Daredevil is his best.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but we were looking through some Tom King is going to be an interesting one because I like Tom King a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, there he is. I like Tom King a lot, and there are some stuff that people say are bad that I don't think are bad.
So like Mr. Miracle, I had big problems with that story. I think you like it quite a bit.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we could, yeah, it'll be
the,
interesting.
the only thing that I could say is bad, and even then I found it interesting as it was coming out. And that's one of the big things is I read a lot of Tom King coming out in issues, and
Mhm.
so I got to enjoy it over a period of a long time. And so like even Heroes in Crisis, which isn't the best, I still enjoyed it as it was coming out. It's just the ending that was not great.
Who was the guy that wrote the story? I mean, it's been a long time ago, where Speedy was high on drugs and beat the criminals to death with a cat or something.
Oh, I don't know who wrote that. You know what? Give me a second.
Yeah, we got to put that guy on the list, whoever it was.
Oh, was that Chuck Austin?
I don't think it was Chuck Austin. It could be. It could be Chuck Austin. There are actually some Chuck Austin books I like, so that'll be a fun conversation.
Snowbirds Don't Fly, I think is the.
Snowbirds.
Oh
Don't
my
fly.
god! Oh my
Who is
god!
it?
It's Dennis O'Neil.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. the great,
Interesting.
the greatest, the greatest Batman writer of all time.
Yeah. It happens. Everybody tells, if you ever try to be a creative person, you're always going to have some works that just don't stand up to your other stuff. It
Yeah.
happens.
You know what's funny? So he did Snowbirds Don't Fly, but I think Dennis O'Neil. I'll have to look this up just because at this point in my current resting mental state, I don't trust anything that I'm thinking. I
Yeah,
want to say Dennis O'Neil did Death in the Family too.
that sounds right. My DC foo is nowhere near as strong as my Marvel foo. So
And mine is usually mine is usually very very good. Uh oh, it was written by Jim Starlin.
interesting. I love
Yeah.
Jim Starlin, by the way.
Yeah. Um oh, you know what? You know what? Okay, this is what I'm thinking of. I think Dennis O'Neil was editor at that time.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was the editor forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I just remember I remember there was this uh uh special feature on the Under the Red Hood Blu-ray, where it was like them talking about the vote and how it could have been fixed and how it affected uh, the the uh, the comic landscape and the pop culture landscape, and Dennis O'Neil was actually interviewed, and he's like, "Yeah, people would go around and it's like." It's this guy. This guy killed Robin.
Well, wasn't it there rumors that it was just one guy robocalling over and
Yep.
over that killed Robin?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the thing is because pop culture didn't get it at the time, everyone thought Dick Grayson died.
I mean, it's probably one of the best things that happened to DC was killing off
Mhm.
Robin. It really changed everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But that
And I mean, and one could argue, and I love Jason Todd. I love the Red Hood. I love everything that has happened since his resurrection. But one could also argue that one of the worst things to happen to DC was his resurrection. Um,
mm, I don't know if that's
but
the worst thing, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
I also love his dynamic with the Bat Family as it is currently.
I,
And I,
you could argue the same thing about Damien. He's the best and worst thing that happened to Batman because
yeah,
now he's a father forever from that point on, and
yeah,
every story has to be you
hmm
can't change that. So
yeah. Now, keep in mind, I, we honestly we might have to do like a Robin's show. Damien is my favorite Robin.
mhm.
Um, but yeah. Anyway, that's interesting that he was the one who wrote the Green Arrow. So it was actually a Green Arrow, Green Lantern story. Which so the reason I think Dennis O'Neil is one of the greatest writers of all time is because of Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Because he wrote it in a political sense, where Green Lantern, I believe, was kind of on the right, and Green Arrow was on the left.
Right.
Uh, and I mean, that is so interesting that he could write both, make it even, and they're still best friends.
Yeah.
It's it's like that's how that's the fiction of it, you know?
Now I tend to be more conservative. I would say I'm like a hard conservative, but I lean more conservative. But I have several friends on the left. It happens.
Yeah.
You know
Have have you I always hate going into
the
the
political sphere. Yeah.
but have you taken like one of those like political alignment tests where it like puts your dot on like the chart?
I think I took one in college. It's been a while.
I took one I took one maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I was like right there in the middle.
Yeah, I think it said I was more moderate than I thought I
Yeah.
was. It's still it's towards the conservative side, but it said I was definitely more moderate, and I think I agree with that because there are things I'm pretty libertarian on, and there's other things I'm actually kind of
Yeah.
liberal on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't like just saying, oh, I agree with everything this party does or that party, because
Mm.
that's not normal. I don't say like, oh, I 100% agree with this person. That's not normal. You should think for yourself.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
uh, I hope that George Lucas realizes the irony of that line. Like, okay, the Jedi's are dealing with absolutes by saying that, but I
I I don't think he does, but I think people afterwards
yeah,
do, and so like they're so here's the thing, George Lucas, like there's so many nuances in the prequels, and George Lucas does not get it. Um,
I wonder if Carrie Fisher got it. Like, she was his ghostwriter, right? So maybe she understood it. She's like, oh, this is good. And George like, what?
maybe, maybe, I think Sam Witwer gets it. I think Timothy Zahn gets it. I think Dave Filoni gets it. Dave Filoni kind of gets it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that Clone Wars Dave Filoni gets it. I think the longer it goes on, Dave Filoni becomes more and more like George Lucas.
Yeah.
um, but
Anyhow.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, that's been my week. Is Batman. We discussed that, and my Destiny addiction has actually come to a head. How about yourself?
Um, well, I've been really getting into Marvel again lately. As I've been
Gasp!
uh going through these Marvel fact files, compiling that thing, and listening to SF Debris' channel where he's going through the entire Infinity Saga.
I haven't listened to him in years. And you know what it is? It's like you unlocked something yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, because he tells the backstory why is the Hulk doing this? Why did they do this with Adam Warlock? Because he's talking about, oh, editorial wanted this or that. So he's really filling in a lot of dots and connections that I'm missing out on. And he's really got me wanting to go back and read Silver Surfer. So
Yeah, if you like people like what's that one guy, Matt Harper or Owen likes comics, SF Debris is the OG.
yeah, yeah. So he's got a series. I mean, they're not finished. He's still adding to them, but he's got a series on the Hulk where he's going through all the Stan Lee years and then onward. He's got a series on Immortal Hulk and then a series on the rise and fall of the comic book industry, and then the Infinity Saga. It's up to like the first part of the Infinity Gauntlet right now. Is where he's at. But like he started at the very beginning of Marvel and he's been going through it all. Um, so yeah, and like he's comparing how Nebula is so different from the comics and so on. So anyhow,
Oh yeah.
really make me want to go buy some Marvel Epics maybe for my birthday. I'm just the temptation is there. Other than that, Vampire Survivors, I downloaded the DLC.
Oh, is that the Contra one?
The Contra one, I downloaded the Among Us one also. So right now I'm playing through the Among Us DLC levels. Unfortunately, I have most of the really powerful weapons unlocked, and they're
Oh
so
yeah.
powerful I cannot see what's happening on the screen because so much stuff is exploding everywhere. So I'm probably going to have to like limit the weapons I use. I even tried just using the Among Us megaphone, and it got so powerful at the end I couldn't even die at the end. Like I was trying to die, I was up to like 45 minutes, and I was like, okay, because at 30 minutes it's supposed to automatically kill you when the Grim Reaper attacks you. And I was so strong, I was just sitting there, and all the Grim Reapers were just dying. And I was like, oh, what is
That's
the
really
end?
that's really fun. I mean I do like that about roguelike games is you set your difficulty before you start. But it's not like a traditional, easy, medium, hard, like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's more like, okay, I'm not gonna use this. I'm not gonna use that. Like my favorite thing about Hades. Did you ever play Hades?
I started to. I have not. I've beaten the first person you fight, the Siren or whatever she is, the
Oh, yeah, oh, the Fury.
Fury. Yes, yes. I'm
Yeah,
still very early in the game. I just haven't had time to play it.
yeah. Oh, contrary to Vampire Survivor is just straight up arcade. Hades is a roguelike, but it is so like story and RPG
Yes,
involved.
yes, yes. Definitely
um,
two very different games.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, but like, I can, go in with shield or with bow and wreck and do work, or I can go in with the spear to give myself a little bit of a challenge. Um, and there's actually incentives to use different weapons, because depending on what weapon is highlighted, you get more of the purple currency. I don't remember what it's called right now.
Mhm.
I haven't played Hades in maybe about 2 months. I need to get
Yeah.
back into it. Plus Hades 2 looks amazing.
Yeah. So other than that, I'm about to finish up the final book of the
I was gonna ask about
three
that.
body pro. I got like 120, 150 pages left somewhere in there.
Okay.
Um,
Is it like mind bending? Like, is it the point where it's like, do you even feel like you're reading the same series at this point?
I was thinking that earlier. Like book one was very different than where I'm at now. Like now I'm dealing with we're building artificial black holes and we're doing this and we're doing that and we're in the fourth dimension and it's just like okay, where are we? What?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be on my friend's band's podcast
Mhm.
next week, um, to talk some Three Body Problem the show, and I don't think they know it's a book series, and I just want to be like, so do you guys know like that there's a possibility that this becomes a completely separate, like right now this is a very almost grounded sci-fi show, and it's about to become a space opera.
Well, I think the show is weird because it's mixing all three books together. Like I think you were talking about Sophon, the character, and I
Yep.
didn't know what you were talking about. She doesn't get introduced to like
Mhm.
100 or so pages into book three, and so I didn't know, you know,
Yeah.
who you were talking about stuff. So I'm really hesitant to look at anything about the show. I mean, I'm close enough to the end now. I probably could, because I don't know what they're spoiling on the show or what they're mixing together or what.
Yeah. Well, from what I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong, the books are almost kind of in a non-linear format, and the show is making it more linear.
They're each book kind of focuses on one character. So the first one was about the girl who made contact with the Trisolarans. Second one was about the one wall breaker dude, and the third book's about the sword holder girl. So I
Gotcha.
think the show mixes all that together somehow. So, and they've also renamed all the characters. I'm like, I don't even know who's who or what, or because in the books, everybody's pretty much Chinese. I mean, they do deal with Americans here and there, but in the show, I think they made it more multicultural.
Yeah, which honestly makes more sense.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, let's hop over to news. We've talked enough about everything except the topics today, so let's hit it. First off, I want to talk about Multiverses real quick. This is the Warner Brother Smash Brothers like game that's about to come back.
hmm
Um, that I'm gonna pull up the current screen of the selection screen. So I don't know if I can name all these people. We got Arya, Batman,
Black Adam.
Black Adam, Bugs Bunny, Finn, the girl from that Steven Universe show, Gizmo, Harley Quinn, Iron Giant, Jake, Joker, LeBron James, Marvin the Martian, Rick and Morty, some dragon thing,
That's Rain Dog.
Shaggy, Steven Universe, Stripe, Superman Taz, Tom and Jerry, Thelma, and Wonder Woman.
So you just didn't know Rain Dog, and Rain Dog is an original character in this game.
Yeah. So if you notice, this list is in alphabetical order. So there's a space between Arya and Batman, and a space between Jake and Joker. They have now revealed who's between Arya and Batman. Any guesses? A name starts with A or B. You'll
Uh,
never guess this in a million years, but just guess.
okay. Let's do a little bit of 20 questions here, because I do want to get it.
Okay.
Um, so cartoon,
Yes.
Cartoon Network,
Yes.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
No.
Okay. From whenever you were a kid,
No.
when I was a kid.
maybe towards the end of when you were a kid. I don't know when this started.
Okay. Um, main character,
No,
sidekick,
no,
villain,
no.
background character.
Yes.
What? Oh God. Um. Uh. I'm thinking back to. Is it a regular show character?
No.
Okay. Is it in that vein?
I'll give you a hint. The show is on the screen right now. Some of the characters are from the show. Now they're adding a background character from one of these shows.
Is it? Is it from Adventure Time?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know Adventure Time.
Okay. 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 If you
Yeah.
think about your J guesses, because I'm pretty sure I know who that is. But here's a banana guard from Adventure Time.
Oh, so like, so it's like they've put in a stormtrooper.
Basically, or a Piranha Plant, or that's the type of weird character. But with Piranha Plant, that was like when they had 60 or 70 characters. This is too
Yeah,
soon to be putting in banana guard.
I kind of respect it though.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Wait, is the Ice King even in?
No, that's what I'm saying.
We're,
Or
we're adding a Goomba before we add Bowser.
basically, where's well, I can't remember the vampire girl's name, or the
I've
bubblegum
I've
princess, or
I have not seen a single episode of Adventure Time. Uh,
I really enjoyed Adventure Time until the pepper. Well, I was watching it with my kids when they were little, and the Peppermint Butler started talking about skinning people alive and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is too dark for my kids, so we had to stop watching it.
so you could probably go back and enjoy it.
Maybe. All right, so Jay's
Uh,
between Jake and Joker, the most popular guess is Johnny Bravo. That is not who it is.
that would be dope though.
Yeah,
Uh, so wait, hold on, you say that's not who it is. Do we know who it is, or
strongly rumored. Like somebody was told who the two characters were, and one of them was Banana Guard, and the other one,
is this one funny? Like,
no.
no, no. I mean, like an odd guess, like an
Oh,
odd,
it's an odd choice,
yeah.
but
Uh,
it's a better choice than Banana Guard.
okay, okay. Superhero,
No,
cartoon,
no,
movie.
yes, a lot of movies.
A lot of movies. So is it like a real person?
I mean, it's played by an actor. It's not a cartoon.
Well, I didn't know if it was like a Jim Henson or something.
No,
Um, hmm, James Bond,
no,
John Wick.
no. But that would be funny.
That'd be so cool. Uh, from the Matrix.
You're starting to robot again, by the way.
Dang it! All right, give me a second.
Okay. So Kayla's mind is about to be blown away by this. This is a 80s slasher icon. So those at home may be able to guess who it is. As we wait, name starts with a J. They have appeared in Mortal Kombat as a guest character. I think he's been in, let's see, 10, I think he's been in 11 movies. There's been a quite lengthy lawsuit about this character.
This is all on my end, so I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna edit it out.
Okay, I was giving the listeners at home hints while you were gone. So
Oh, gotcha. I might keep that in then if that's fun. All right. What was one of the hints?
80s.
80s.
They've been in I think 11 movies.
Okay, okay, okay. No. Okay, what I'm about to guess is 90s, but I want to guess it anyways. Okay,
Okay.
is it Jay and Silent Bob?
No.
Oh my god! But imagine Jay and Silent Bob as like an ice climbers character.
Yeah, that would be. Now I kind of want that. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, and the gorilla or
Yeah,
Suzanne the orangutan or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't. There's a possibility I've never even seen this movie.
I'm
Uh,
sure you know of this character. I guarantee you know of this character. I guarantee your father knows of this character.
I have played by different actors.
Yes, different actors have played this character.
When's the most recent movie they've been in?
Oh, actually, I was wrong. They've been in 12 movies. I think it was early 2000s because there's been a lengthy lawsuit since then that seems to be wrapping up now, which is why this character is suddenly appearing again.
A lengthy lawsuit.
Uh huh.
I feel like that should give it away, but it doesn't. Yeah.
Here's. I'll give you one more hint that will give it away.
Okay.
They've been in Mortal Kombat.
Oh, you talked about this. Is it Jason Voorhees?
Yes. Oh, did I put it in the chat?
You did.
You just didn't even get it. I forgot I told you.
Yeah. Well, no. And here's listen. This is your brain. This is your brain on a Destiny addiction.
I totally forgot I already told you the answer. You still didn't get it.
And I still didn't get it.
I just, Jason versus Bugs Bunny. It's going to be outrageous.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing: Jason in Mortal Kombat X, like, he was dope. So like, they can do a lot with him.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things that they did. So you know how Mortal Kombat basically everyone has a teleport.
Yeah.
Do you know what they did with Jason?
No.
They had him walk off screen into a mist and then appear on the other side of the screen from a mist.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. Oh man, so you could do something like that, or I'm trying to think of what else. They had a final stand mechanic where after you beat Jason, depending on how much meter he has left, he actually gets back up.
Yeah, that's great. You know what's great is Death Road to Canada. They would do spoofs of characters, and they had a character Mason that was, it's just Jason.
Yeah.
And if you joined your team, it would say Jason's depressed, and then it would say we stopped at a rest stop, and Linda on your team went missing, but Jason's a lot happier now. Then he died. Like, we were on a mission, he died. I was like, finally, he's gone. He's gonna stop killing my people. Then, like, a couple of minutes later, he's just back in the car. And I was like, where'd he come from? What the heck? Death Road to Canada is so underrated. It's an amazing game.
That's a lot of fun. I think they're, what's funny? I think they're adding like some sort of like DLC to one of those horror games that's Jason related.
Yeah, they just announced something like their Jason Entertainment or Jason Universe where he's going to start appearing again. So I guess the lawsuit is over, or there's been some type of agreement reached. The issue was the writer of the first movie sued for the everything he created in the first movie. So the name Jason, Pamela Voorhees, Crystal Lake, all that he was suing for. Say that it's his creations and he should have rights to them.
Victor Miller.
Yeah. That might be a whole nother show. We'll look at that off screen because we got a lot to get to.
Yeah.
What's next in news?
Next up in news, Ding Dong, the Witch is dead. No more Silk Show.
Yes, we had 2 Amazon announcements about the Spider-Man shows. Silk's not the one that's Spider-Man's sister. This is a different character. This is Cindy Moon or something.
Yeah, this is the one that they have an uncontrollable attraction to each other.
Yeah, she got bit by the same spider or something. They were locking her away in someplace for 30 years or something. I don't know. It's dumb. This is gonna sound horribly sexist, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Most of the Spider Women characters are really dumb.
Yeah.
I like Gwen.
I like Gwen.
Spider Gwen, but I think that's the only one I like.
You know what? Who else is there? There's Gwen, Silk.
The cast of Madam Web. You had
Oh yeah,
all those Spider Women. Jessica Drew's okay, but
yeah. I was about to say I like her. Not that interpretation.
but there's like 6 of them. It's like, well, okay, you have 2 that are okay, and the rest are terrible.
Yeah, and then I mean I'll be honest, I kind of barely like Madam Web as a character in the comics.
Oh, I can't stand Madam Web. So, we
Well, ironically, we're going to be talking about that
yeah,
with
let's hold off on
X-Men.
that. Well, they announced a new Spider-Man title, Spider Society, which is continuing to tap into that Spider-Verse nonsense. Um, and I think Spider-Verse should be like a thing, maybe a trilogy of movies, but that's it. You can't just keep going to that well over and over and over. But people keep buying it for whatever reason. The other
I
big okay, go ahead.
I don't know if they are.
Yeah, they're just trying to. I guess they'll probably announce pretty soon when the third Spider Verse movie is coming out. So they're probably just trying to keep tapping into that.
Yeah.
So they can have trades for sale. The other big announcement, which we are hyped about, is Nicolas Cage is signed on to play Spider-Man Noir live action.
Yeah, which is not something that I expected. So Spider-Man Noir is so weird because the adaptation of him is so dope, but it's also so different from the comics of Noir.
Yeah,
And so I'm kind of because like I mean Ben Urich is his uncle, and I mean Spider-Man Noir for all intents and purposes is like still a kid. He's like early 20s. Uh, and you ain't gonna do that with Nicolas Cage.
So Caleb, I hate to tell you, but you're slowly turning into a robot again. I don't know what your issue is. Your lack of sleep has infected your computer.
I'm gonna restart my my computer. Give me a second.
Okay, so while you're gone, I'll talk about something else. And he slowly died. He just slowly melted and faded away. Yeah, so Spider Verse. We love Miles and Spider Gwen and Spider Punk and all that. Spider Ham's great, but they just keep going to the well over and over and over. And I don't mind them having their own book, but it takes away from this the uniqueness of Peter Parker. If there's all these different spider characters always running around, they all have basically the same powers. They're slightly different, and so if you're constantly pulling them together for to save the universe, it gets old, you know. So I'm hoping they do something different with them. But Marvel likes to keep going to the well over and over with some of these concepts. And they're trying to have trade paperbacks on the shelf so that when the movie comes out, they say, "Oh, hey, go buy the new Spider-Verse book or whatever." So let's see, what else do we have? Because Caleb has the list of news. We can talk about next week. Next week we'll be doing a celebration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the IDW run. We're going to be looking at the probably five best storylines that you should check out. The book is about to hit issue 150. It may be out by the time the next week's episode comes out. And then they're going to be relaunching the book, I think in October, I want to say, with Jason Aaron as the writer. So that's super exciting. But yeah, especially the first 100 issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at IDW are really, really good. If you love Ninja Turtles like I do, it's some of the best Ninja Turtle stories. Some of the best takes on the characters. I really like the changes they made to where the turtles came from. It's a very interesting take on it. Very interesting take on Splinter and Shredder. and a lot of it takes place in feudal Japan. So when I was watching Shogun a few weeks ago, I was like, man, this cast would kill on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What's up, Caleb?
What's up? What's up? Uh, did you have something to talk about, or do you need me to edit that out?
I was talking about next week's show about the IDW Ninja Turtle stuff. So we're good.
Okay. Okay, yeah,
We're good.
we can keep that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check to see what's going on throughout the week, and you know what's weird? It's just my laptop. Like everything else, I never really have issues with. I work from home and I don't have issues, so
Yeah.
who knows? Anyway,
So let's get back to news. We were talking about Nicolas Cage, Spider-Man
yes,
Noir.
yes. So yeah, I'm excited for it. Uh, Very different from the comic book Spider-Man Noir. Uh, so I'm definitely interested to see what they do with that character. I almost wonder if like what if it's like this because like it's Spider-Man Noir in the quote unquote present day, but he's like keeps thinking and flashing back to like his uncle Ben Urich. And whenever he first picked up the Spider Noir costume and maybe something kind of like that.
I'd rather have like like a pulp hero, like 40s running around, having all these crazy adventures, like
Mhm.
Indiana Jones or whatever. So something like that, but with Spider
Yeah.
Man would be pretty
Yeah.
cool. What's next on our news?
Next up for news is the Shogun continuation. I think you were just talking about Shogun.
Yes, Shogun ended, and it ends where the book ends, and now they've signed on the main guy. I can't remember. Never can remember his name. For
Uh,
season 2 and possibly season 3, they've locked him in, and now they're looking into developing the story further.
does
I
it need
think,
that?
huh? Well, I
Does it?
thought Shogun has a great ending, but I mean, there's definitely places it could go. My main problem is they kind of gave resolution to most of the characters. A lot of characters got killed off. It's like
Mhm.
the people that I thought were incredible in the show are no longer there. So it's kind of like I mean, yes, I could definitely see them drawing from history and telling some more stories. But also, I don't know if
Yeah,
I want that.
this week is not good for news on samurai things. As because of the new Assassin's Creed as well. uh,
I I won't say that. Never mind. Let's continue.
yeah, sometimes we catch ourselves before we say, and then most times I don't catch myself at all.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, I don't know if a Shogun needs a season 2. Be like, oh, let's do a sequel to Apocalypse Now, or some other book that was a movie.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
like, really? Or let's do a sequel to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Really? I don't think it needs a sequel, but okay.
they did a prequel.
Yeah. So, what's next?
Dune Prophecy trailer came out this week, and I'm super excited about it. What did you still haven't seen part two, right?
I have not seen part 2. I have read the first 4 or 5 books, so
I I don't know if this is based on anything.
I don't think it is either. It's kind of the backstory of I
Bene
can't remember.
Gesserit.
Yeah, yeah. And I heard some people complain, "Oh, this is just girl power. This one ever girl bosses." But I'm like,
Oh,
what? That's the story.
that's the Bene Gesserit.
That's been in the book since day one. So I hate when people complain about stuff like that because I'm
Mhm.
like, well, obviously you haven't read the book,
Yeah.
so
Uh, so my only concern is the fact that this is on HBO Max,
yeah,
um, and I the Dune Part One and Part Two, they're PG-13, you know.
yeah,
Uh, and so I mean, it's one of those things where I want to be able to watch this with my dad, but it's not like I won't watch something like that with my dad. But there's we all
yeah.
know that there's that kind of uncomfortableness watching
Yeah,
something like that with your dad.
And HBO took a very PG Westworld property and turned it into quite something else. So it's not beyond them to do something like that. So yeah, I definitely get your concerns.
Yeah. Ironically, you bring that up. Westworld is my dad's like favorite HBO show. So
I have not seen it. I've seen the original movie with Yul Brynner and all that.
yeah.
So um, yeah, I think it would be fun if they're able to make a Dune universe. I mean, there's certainly more stories to tell.
Yeah, definitely.
I would like to see them get past like they seem to get stuck on the first 3 or 4 books over and over and over and never go past that. So I would like to see them get past that and do some of the other stuff.
So
But
I believe they've only gotten to the first 3 books. Believe it's Children of Dune is the farthest they've ever gone.
yeah,
You
it
know
gets
that.
super weird after
y-
that.
Yeah, you know God Emperor of Dune is about a worm guy, right?
Yeah, I've read it. I've read it. Yeah,
How do you? So
make
here's the thing.
it animated or something, and just throw it on HBO. Say, like, oh, here's dude.
I know Denis Villeneuve has said that he's only doing Messiah and then he's out.
Yeah,
So honestly, the way I think they could do it, and I think you could end on God Emperor of Dune. I think what you could do is like you have Denis Villeneuve's trilogy, Dune Part One, Part Two, and Dune Messiah, and then you have someone else come in and you have them do Children of Dune, and then God Emperor of Dune Part One, Part Two,
probably. Yeah,
and then that's your Star Wars six saga
yeah.
movie series. Um,
It's one of those things where the creator died, and then other authors came in and did more books. Now
no,
Kevin Anderson is one of those guys that came in and wrote a bunch of them, and we do like Kevin
yeah,
Anderson,
we do
but
like Kevin Anderson. Yeah,
um, yeah, I don't want to get too much into Dune because I'll start talking about spoilers and stuff, and I
we
don't
have
really
an
want to.
we have an entire show for Dune sometime this summer. So
Yeah, yeah. What's next on news, Caleb, or was that it?
we got I believe it. Yeah, it is one more. This is more of just a rumor, but if it's true, I think it's dope. Um, a Total War Star Wars game. Are you
I'm not
familiar?
familiar. I am not familiar with Total War. So what is Total War?
Total War. It's so you know how Dynasty Warriors and has uh they just take the formula of Dynasty Warriors and they put it into Fire Emblem or Gundam or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Total War is an RTS game uh, that is made by Creative Assembly. And Creative Assembly has done this several times. There's Shogun, Total War, Total War Pharaoh. Essentially, it's a series of RTS games in different eras. They also did one for Halo. They do a bunch of them for the Warhammer franchise.
Okay.
Uh, and so uh, it seems like that there's one coming for Star Wars, and I'm really excited about it because here's the thing. You know, you've got your Star Wars first person shooters are, hit or miss. Star Wars flight sims are kind of hit or miss. Star Wars lightsaber games hit or miss. I don't think there's ever been a bad Star Wars RTS game.
What was that one that came out like the very first Star Wars RTS game?
Believe that is Rebellion, and I think that's a good game.
I've never played it, so
I
I can't
no,
say one way or the other.
no. And here's the thing: you are right. People don't like that game, but I disagree. I think Star Wars Rebellion is a good game. Of course, most people would say that the best one is Empire at War. I actually prefer Galactic Battlegrounds. I played Galactic Battlegrounds when I was like 7, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." Um, then they had it was my first exposure to like an expansion as well because they had Galactic Battlegrounds clone campaigns whenever
Nice.
Attack of the Clones first came out. So um, yeah, so if we're getting Total War Star Wars, I am all for it. I am so excited for that if that's true.
All right. Is that it for news?
That is it for news.
So let's talk X-Men 97, and we might put a little comment in the comments saying, if you just want to hear for the X-Men news, jump to 50 minutes into the stream.
Yeah, I'll definitely put something there. And then let do we want to just go ahead and jump into spoilers, or just like our overarching
Uh, let's just say real quick before we get into spoilers.
Okay.
Were you happy or unhappy with the season finale?
With the season finale, I was, on the whole, I'm happy with it.
Okay.
On the whole, I'm happy with it. There are some things that, um, so the issues that I have with the season finale aren't even issues that I have with the season finale. It's just issues that I have with Marvel as a brand.
Okay.
So,
And then I really enjoyed it. I do have my quibbles or complaints, but um, overall season ranking, out of 10, what would you give the series?
I would probably give it this is a 9. This is definitely a 9.
Yeah, I'm at a 9 or 9.5, somewhere in there. I
Uh,
do have complaints that I do think it needed more episodes. We sped through a bunch of things, and then
I don't think it needed more episodes. I think that we needed to get to things faster.
I
Because
would like
like
to spend more time with Madeline before we
I,
killed
I
it off.
you know what it is? I agree. It's just that okay. So I've talked about my quabbles with the first 4 episodes. Those first 4 episodes maybe should have just been different episodes.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep making up different keywords for our complaints. So quibbles, quabbles, quobles.
Quarrels,
Yeah, we're just gonna keep doing that throughout the show. So,
uh,
all right,
quarrage.
let's hop into the spoilers now. And I prepared a slideshow for the different things I wanted to talk about.
All right. Do you want me to go ahead and bring that up?
Yeah, and go ahead and flip it to spoilers instead of news
Oh
because
yeah. They're right next to each other.
yeah.
All right. Here we
So
go.
these are just some of the different things I wanted to point out, and then we'll get to our predictions a little bit later. So most of the episode is really about Magneto and Xavier's relationship and kind of this discussion they're having on the astral plane. I really enjoyed all this. I thought this
Oh
was a lot
yeah.
of fun. And the hints about Magneto's children, Scarlet
Yeah.
Witch and Quicksilver and Polaris, that was fun. I always like when they revisit this era of when they are friends and trying to figure things out. Um, New Rockstars had a great point about this whole episode. Everybody that's heroic in this show has a reflection, and all the bad guys, either their reflection fades away or it's distorted.
Oh yeah. That's
Like
dope.
Mr. Sinister, when he looks in the water, it fades away, and all this. It's interesting. But
Hmm.
Magneto does have a reflection because he is heroic in this. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed all this. You got any comments about the Magneto Xavier stuff in the bar?
I mean that was great. There is a reason why, um, and I'm going to say this in an objective way because I don't necessarily agree with this, but objectively, there is a reason why objectively X-Men First Class is the best X-Men movie. It's because the relationship between these two people is the backbone of the entire franchise. Um, I even saw someone say, you can say that. Oh, am I becoming a?
No, you're good.
Am I
You're good.
becoming? Okay. I heard a noise. Okay, good. You can say that this is an entire franchise based on a gay couple breaking up and making it the entire world's problem.
There are
uh,
some of those undertones
yeah.
throughout this episode.
Um,
You could dwell on them or choose not to, whatever. But yeah, it
it,
definitely felt like they were coming out to each other
yeah,
at the beginning of
yeah,
the conversation.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's a lot like Good Omens, where you can take it or leave it.
yeah,
And so and the person that wrote that was definitely more on the jokey side than actually reading into it, which is how I read into it as well.
mhm.
Um, But I mean, like, and I'll be honest, this is not where I thought the show was going. Obviously,
No, no,
no,
this is not where I thought at all. I thought we were going to get a comatose Magneto at the end with Rogue staying behind to take care of him, similar to how Colossus stayed behind to take care of him in the comics once he went comatose.
yeah. I We have gotten so much more Xavier than I expected this season.
Oh, definitely, because he's not in the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but it makes sense. Like I said, the relationship between these two is the backbone of the entire franchise.
Yep, I agree. Uh, let's move on to the next slide. I don't remember what the slides are. I just made them. Uh, I love this and I hated this at the same time. I felt like the show got very cameo crazy this episode.
Yes, yes. I don't. That's part of the things that I don't like. But this is the problem that I have with Marvel as a whole.
It just felt like, hey, we could do this. Doesn't add anything to the story, but look what we could do.
And the thing is some people are like, oh man, they're building to Avengers versus X-Men. I'm like, no, they're not.
I if they do a spinoff Avengers show, then yes. I think they will. Or maybe the Onslaught battle could bring in the Avengers like it did in the comics.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where I was like, oh cool, Iron Man's here. Oh, there's Daredevil. Oh, there's Cloak and Dagger. Oh, there's Doctor Strange. Oh,
Yeah.
there's the Russian crew. There's Puck. Oh, okay. I did like that Cecilia Reyes showed up because she was introduced in Operation Zero Tolerance, but
Yeah.
it just felt like, okay, what. And Marvel Comics used to do this all the time where they're like, oh no, Galacticus here, and you'd see all the reactions from the different Marvel superheroes, cutaways real quick, like I sense a disturbance or whatever. So I mean, it is an old comic book trope, but at the same time, I was just kind of like, all right.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? Do you remember? I don't know if you've ever seen this episode or if you've even seen the clip of the Fantastic Four cartoon where they're fighting Galactus in like this big final battle, and then Ghost Rider appears out of nowhere. No mention of him before, no mention of him after, and he does the penance stare on Galactus, and they win. Have you not seen that?
No, that sounds amazing though.
I'm gonna have to send it to you.
It's like the Deus Ex Machina Ghost Rider
Yep,
showing up.
that is 100% what it is.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Um,
It's like a Sam and Max. We're like, oh, thank God the Diaper Commandos showed up. You're like, who are the Diaper Commandos? What are you talking about?
oh man, I haven't experienced Salmon Max in so long. Um, but here's the thing. That's kind of like my point. Is we're making fun of this right now. This isn't cool. Like I don't think this didn't hit the way they wanted it to.
It's fun when they show, like when Captain America showed up a couple episodes ago. It was cool because he interacted
Yeah,
with Rogue. He had a point. I guess Black Panther probably had the best scene where they're interacting with Senator Kelly, maybe Captain America, but the rest really weren't doing anything.
yeah,
So, I, you know, it was just all having it all happen at one time. If you did and the old show did that where they just have like a weird cameo here or there, but it was just so much at one time. It was like, all right, calm down.
yeah. Um, yeah. Like if we're talking about like my biggest problem with the episode, it's definitely this. Um, I have some other. Um, I have other Klingons with this episode as well. uh, but I think this is the most egregious.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh,
Okay, what's that? Okay, so Phoenix was cool. They've been kind of hinting about this all season, and in the intro, they've been showing the Phoenix nonstop. Um, and they kind of hinted that Jean died last episode. I maybe would like to have seen more of that. What happened to Jean between these two moments.
hmm
Um, but it was fine. I don't hate it. I just don't want Phoenix to be always their get out of jail card. You do this one time, but that's it. You know.
Yeah. Which another one of my issues, and we're gonna get into more of it, is and this is also a problem that I have with the X-Men comics. Because I'm not saying this isn't accurate, right? But this is kind of, been there, done that.
Yeah, I think the original Phoenix story is great, but they go back to it way too often. And I think part of this is I'm gonna get on a little Marvel rant here. Um,
Woo!
so let's get our rant of the week out of here. Um, Marvel editorial used to be super strict in the 80s, 60s through the 80s, and a little bit into the 90s, where they knew where every character was at one point. And if you brought a new fan and you said, "Hey, who are the Sinister Six?" I could rattle them off. I could rattle off all 7 members. Have you tried to rattle off who the Sinister Six are now? There's like 50
Uh,
characters.
yeah, I
So
mean, I could probably tell you who the six mainstays are, but
yeah,
I couldn't tell you who are currently the Sinister Six.
yeah, they have, and so it's like, oh, who's been the Phoenix Force holders? Well, I could have told you Madeline, Rachel, and Jean. And now it's like, who's the Phoenix holders now? Echo, Quentin Quire, Wolverine,
Yeah.
the Phoenix Five, the there's no editorial control over any of this anymore. It used to be everything was very friendly to new readers, saying, "Oh, here's the Phoenix people, that's it." But now
Do
we've done it so much, or we've done Sinister Six so many times, or whatever. There's no editorial control over any of this.
do you think that the problem is kind of like um and bear with me, I'm not a father, so I'm just assuming, but do you think it has something to do with, like, a lot of our editors are previously writers and they're like, well, I'm not going to do to my writers what my editor did to me, kind of like, I'm not going to do to my parents what I'm not going to do to my kids what my parents did to me, and then you end up like messing up anyways.
I think Jim Shooter was super strict, and I
Yes.
think I think that a lot of people push back against that. But then I also think you just have, I think the current editors are super weak. I look at I can't think of his name right now. The X-Men current editor just let the Krakoa era just go all over the place, and it was a mess by the
Yeah.
end. Um, and I think the last good one for I know a lot of people hate him. I think when Bob Harris left is when things started to kind of fall
when
off.
when was that?
Was it before or after Quesada? Bob Harris kind of was in charge of 90s X-Men. He
Hmm.
kind of took over everything. And
I
there's good and bad about the 90s X-Men. It kind of got stuck in a status quo, but also that was very friendly to new readers.
Yep.
Where yeah, go
I
ahead.
I think that Marvel falls off, and I know here's the thing. It's a it's a cliche at this point, but it's a cliche because I at this point I think it's true. Marvel falls off in like 2008, 2009 with One More Day.
I Well, yeah.
Yeah.
There are a couple of stopping points if you wanted to stop reading Marvel. One of them is the Onslaught saga, and maybe up to Operation Zero Tolerance. You could stop right there, and you're fine. Um, and then Marvel Knights comes in, and Civil War and all that. And if you like that era, you could stop at Secret Wars, and you're perfectly fine. You don't have to read anything else after that. It's
Yeah.
a lovely ending to Fantastic Four. It's a lovely ending to a lot of stuff.
And even then, like, because I love Marvel Knights, I love Grant Morrison's new X-Men, I love the majority of JMS's Spider-Man, um, but it's hard to go past 2008 for me, at least, even,
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Um, That's a whole different show. Let's get back to X-Men 97.
Hold on. That's the Dan Slott show.
Yeah. I love and hate Dan Slott, so and I know
Uh,
you just hate Dan Slott, so
yeah. Oh, Cameron and I, we had to think hard about like, oh, what's the good of Dan Slott? And he said She-Hulk, and I'm like, maybe Superior. I don't know.
Superior Spider-Man, She-Hulk, the Avengers of Initiative, Silver Surfer, his Arkham Asylum book is really good.
I do love his Arkham Asylum book. I'll give you that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
X-Men. um,
Save
there-
the day.
one of the things I really like about the show, and I don't know if it was all Bo DeMaio or what, the dialogue in this show is so much fun. It's
Phenomenal.
so much like Chris Claremont. I love it. I really, really love it, and I hope that it was more than Bo DeMaio. That this doesn't just go away. I hope it doesn't turn into like an imitation of this going forward.
So he's actually come out and talked about his involvement with season 2.
Yeah.
He said that he wrote the majority of season 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is similar to season 1, but he will not have the hands-on control.
Creative control, the editing and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as far as the storyline, I believe we're still going to be getting Bo DeMaio's storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Past that, who knows?
Yeah, he had a 5-year outline, so I don't know if they'll continue to follow that 5-year outline. Probably not, knowing Disney. But
I think we'll get at least his version of season 2, and
yeah. Season 2, I think, is fine. Past that, we'll see. They may hit the same like high points, like okay, this is going to be whatever, but it won't be what his vision was, or whatever.
Yeah.
So okay, so Phoenix coming back. Okay, great. This was interesting. I thought she was just going to straight up kill Mr. Sinister.
I was hoping for it.
Well, I don't like when Marvel just kills off a villain because I like for him to, I don't like when to take him off the board.
I usually agree, but I'm sick of Sinister. Like,
well, yeah, I think story wise, he's kind of, it's ran its course,
yeah.
I think removing the DNA that he's stolen from other mutants was interesting.
Yes.
And the duct tape comment was interesting. Looking at his costume, saying it was all being held together by duct tape was really fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Morph getting his dig at him and all that. I thought that was all, just great scene.
I mean, like, I think this was the time to kill Sinister, because I mean, for all intents and purposes, he was kind of the main villain of the original show.
Mm-hmm.
And so like killing him off in the season finale of your follow-up, I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah, he's kind of your little finger of the show, though, where he's always doing something in the background, manipulating things. So
yeah,
we'll see. So at this point in the episode, it was a kind of like a breather, and then the second half kicked into gear where Bastion just powered up and went berserk. What's next in our slideshow?
Woo!
So this was just a scene of Rogue hitting Bastion. Nothing to point out here. It is interesting that the internet was complaining quite a bit about this, and then here it is. So
yeah,
I love the scene where she punched.
So do I.
The whole fight on the Blue Moon was cool, bringing that back from the Phoenix Saga.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and hop off with this one, just because I don't want YouTube to get angry at us for dwelling too long on. The scenes. Let's talk about the morph in the room. The scene could be read a couple of different ways, and I'm kind of annoyed that Bo DeMaio just came out and spelled out what it was. Sometimes I like a scene just to be what it is and not have the creator say, "Oh yeah, that's definitely what it was." I like, I mean, viewers to make their own interpretations.
It's the J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. I definitely read it as that.
I did too.
But I don't. Here's the thing: we're not getting a relationship between these two, because this is definitely an unrequited love.
Yes, me and Jonathan were talking about this. I was like, as long as it stays just as an unrequited love or whatever, I'm cool with that. if this turns into a Wolverine morph, fan, what is it, Tinder fan fiction show, I'll, then I have some issues.
And here's the thing, making a character gay, like if it make here's the thing, Tim Drake to me, I mean, I'm not a fan of that because like it's not written well and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Mhm.
Morph being gay, I mean that it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't, I don't people go, oh my gosh, you hate stuff with gay people in it. I do like Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I won't shut up about that movie, right? So, um, yeah, if it makes sense story wise, I'm fine with it. If it gets annoying, where like Iceman's gay, and every time he shows up, oh, but did you remember he's gay? By the way, he's gay. Oh, he's our gay character. It
Yeah.
just, shut
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Well, I don't like it whenever it changes the character. Like with Tim Drake, you can make him bisexual. You didn't have to change the character at all.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was let's be honest, Tim Drake was always kind of, he always
yeah.
kind of acted that way. But I mean, like they just completely changed him.
Yep.
And so with Morph, I think he's gay, and you don't have to change the character at all. Like, here's the thing: you go back to the old show. Yeah, he kind of gay in that show too. I mean,
Yeah.
you that little laugh, like, that little laugh
Yeah.
that you got. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
I thought this was a very touching scene though, and him
yeah,
choosing to turn into Gene to help Wolverine fight through whatever he's fighting through. Uh, they didn't dwell on Wolverine a whole lot this episode because in the comic books, this is a very traumatic. He's fighting for his life, and Magic had just previously died, and so like he's seen like the angel of her, like pulling him to the afterlife and stuff, and he had to really fight to hang on and stuff, and so I felt that was very dialed back because the way the cartoon portrays it was like, yeah, he's fine, he'll heal, don't worry about it, it was very much more traumatic, and that I guess that would be another quarble or whatever keyword we're using here. Um, I wish it had been more like we're losing Wolverine, some more scenes of like him dying and stuff, and them trying to revive him and stuff. But there was a
uh,
lot going on this episode too. It was a 40-minute episode, so
do you think we get Bone Claws?
oh, absolutely. I mean, you have
I'm
to.
I'm really excited for Bone. I love Bone Claw Wolverine.
I do too. Yeah, he was great until issue 100 of Wolverine, where everything changed after that. But that 25 issue period before that, where
Yeah,
he's only appearing in Wolverine, and like his healing factor's all jacked up and stuff. That's a fun era. And
yeah,
Cyber just snaps off his bone claws, and
yeah.
they grow back all gnarly and twisted.
Yep,
Oh, so much fun.
yep.
Good times. I'm really, I hope they let Wolverine do some more stuff next season.
So we're talking. We'll talk about it in a second. I have an idea, but we'll talk about that towards the end.
Okay. What's next? Bastion. It was interesting because the Sentinel flies in and is crushing Bastion, and it's like, okay, X-Men, kill him, and they're like, no, we're gonna have this peaceful conversation. And the conversation is good, but I was also kind of rolling my eyes, like, oh, here comes the power of friendship. We're gonna, convert Bastion to the good side or whatever.
No.
And then for the humans to freaking launch missiles and prove Bastion's point was just it was just great. you know,
Yeah.
the X-Men are making they're
Yeah.
pouring their hearts out. Yeah, humans are having baby mutants, and this is the future, and we'll work together to peace. And they turn out there's missiles flying at them. It's just amazing.
Dude, the line, humans would rather die than have babies like us.
Yeah,
I mean, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff.
really good writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, then we had some more morph transformations and more cameos, and I thought it was funny that he turned into Mr. Fantastic, where he could easily reach Jubilee, and he just let her fly out the airlock. It's just like, okay, good job, Morph. But yeah, it seems like Bastion is off the table for now. I don't know. I don't see how he survived that, but who knows? He could have got thrown through time at the end of this. We don't know.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that because, like, I, I, I guess I don't 100% understand what happened.
There's a big question mark of what happened at the end. I think it was left vague on
Yeah,
purpose.
yeah.
I think it has to do with the Apocalypse four-parter with all that time travel shenanigans with the was it the wasn't the in-betweener, who was it, Immortus at the end.
Oh yeah.
I think Immortus might be doing some stuff, but we'll talk
Oh,
about that.
Kang! Yay!
Yeah, Kang, we'll talk about Kang here in a little bit.
Um,
I think he's definitely not Kang per se, but some of his other alter egos will definitely play a role in season 2, I believe.
yeah.
But yeah, Bastion was a great
Oh,
villain
whoops.
this season. Uh, he had to go. I thought it was a lot more fun making him, basically a mutant. I really like this. It made Bastion more interesting this
Yeah,
season.
definitely.
Yeah, so that was a very fun villain. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Just a couple here looking at the window. Nothing to see here. Not, I don't know who these two people are. They're just two New Yorkers. Moving on.
Yeah.
Uh, no, let's go back. Peter found Mary Jane. That
Yeah.
was the big cliffhanger at the end of the Spider-Man animated series. So I
You
don't
know
know if
what's
we'll get.
you
I
know
don't know if we'll get a follow-up series, Spider-Man animated series, but maybe a movie showing where he found Mary Jane or something.
can I be honest?
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I never saw that as a cliffhanger.
No, I didn't either. I didn't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Well, like, let's go find Mary Jane. Like, yeah, sure. That's he.
Yeah. And I
Like,
assumed he was just gonna go get her right then, and that'd be it. Like there's no adventure to it. It's just
and to me, it's like his reward isn't finding Mary Jane; it's the chance to find her.
yeah,
Even as a kid, that's how I interpreted it. It's kind of like you ever see Good Will Hunting?
no.
Oh, okay. uh,
Shut down this conversation right now. No.
uh, it kind of ends the same way about essentially it ends before the knock knock on the door.
It's the ending of the Boba Fett story we were talking about a couple weeks ago, where it's we don't you don't get an ending. It's Boba
Yeah,
Fett versus Han, their final fight. Who wins? We're not telling you. And
yeah.
and sometimes you don't have everything spelled out.
Right,
You know.
right. Well, the ending of Good Will Hunting it's not about him getting back the girl. It's about him actually deciding what he wants in life. He wants to try to get her
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And so this for me was like, okay, so he saved the universe. His reward is not getting Mary Jane. His reward is being able to go find her.
Yeah. To make things right. Yep. Yep. Um, but yeah, this was a fun teaser. I know people lost their minds. I didn't
I
hate this
didn't.
game. I didn't hate this cameo as much as the other ones. I thought this one was okay.
Yeah, this makes more sense because we had the season 2 crossover in Neogenic Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Yeah.
I actually love that stuff in the old Spider-Man show.
God.
Uh,
Oh, that was the Alistair Smythe show or whatever.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
always him in the wheelchair.
yeah. Well, and then he became the ultimate Spider Slayer.
Yeah.
Uh, do you remember the X-Men crossover? I thought the X-Men crossover was actually not that bad. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, but yeah. No,
so
I
that's
that's
kind of our end of our conversation here about this. Everybody disappears in time, and then we get a teaser scene with Bishop and Forge. And Forge having this big, we'll talk about here in a minute, the board that looks like from Days of Future Past, and kind of hints of where we're going next. And then we see the X-Men Lost in Time, 2 different time periods. And we'll talk about that more here in a minute. And then we had an end credit scene with Apocalypse digging through the rubble of Genosha and finding Gambit's card and talking about so much destruction and so much death, hinting that Gambit will be one of the 4 horsemen.
yeah, which makes sense.
Yep. You said you don't like Apocalypse, or you think he's been used too much.
Yes.
Famously,
Hmm.
I'm fine with Apocalypse. I still think that the ending of Age of Apocalypse is one of the greatest X-Men scenes ever, where Magneto takes out Apocalypse. I won't spoil it if you haven't read it, but that page kind of blew my mind as a kid. So if we get a moment like that between Magneto and Apocalypse, I'm all for it. But yeah, that's our talk about finale. Let's talk about what's really got me excited. Season 2. So before we get into these, Caleb, this is kind of my list. Do you have any predictions about season 2 or where you think it's heading?
Not really. I had my predictions of where I thought it was going, and we're definitely not going that way. Um,
So yeah, go ahead.
uh, which honestly, it kind of disappoints me, because I thought we were gonna go in a Grant Morrison direction, but we're not, and so
I think maybe eventually it won't be season 2, maybe like season 3 or 4 or 5. Eventually we'll get there, but we're not. Yeah.
I don't know. I just this is my next disappointment, which is been there, done that. Apocalypse.
Oh yeah, I
Which
get that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's why I wanted them to go into to New X-Men, because New X-Men is something different. And the thing is like it's not just like that we've done Phoenix and we've done Apocalypse and we've done like all this. Like even in other shows, we always do Phoenix and we always do Apocalypse. I just wanted something a little different. It's kind of like so people don't like the Beware the Batman show that came out a couple years ago. I love that show because it is Professor Pig, Magpie, Anarchy. It's villains that like they intentionally don't do the Joker because we do the Joker in everything, and so we get
Hmm.
to see other stuff. And so like I I, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to see Cassandra Nova. I want to see Phantom X.
So yeah, one of my predictions has already been proven wrong, so I took it out of the slides. It was going to be in here.
What was it?
I thought that Storm, Morph, and Wolverine got sent to a third time period because we didn't see them at the end. And I thought it was going to be the Wolverine origin story, where that's where the Bone Claw things would happen. He'd see his younger self with Bone Claws and be like, "Oh, I have Bone Claws," and that'd be his revelation that he has Bone Claws, and then they'd pop out.
Hmm.
So I thought that's where I was going to go, and then thought that was interesting because you kind of have a love triangle there. You have Wolverine and Storm who were married in the other reality. You have Morph and Wolverine. So I thought that would be where it goes. Bo DeMaio, he didn't outright say it, but he kind of confirmed someone's theory that they are in the future with Cyclops and Jean is where they're at. So
Hmm. Gotcha.
so it kind of split them in half. 5 went one way, 5 went the other way. So
Which makes sense.
yeah. So um yeah, so let's get into some of my predictions. I could be completely wrong. I've been completely wrong about this season. Every episode, all my predictions have been
Yeah.
kind of all over the place. I think Bastion was the one thing I got right. So
Yeah.
let's look at the first slide. I feel pretty good about this one. This is my prediction of the Four Horsemen. Gambit's a lock as death.
Yeah.
These are other people that died at Genosha: Banshee, Madeline, and Sebastian Shaw. This would be my guess for the Horsemen. I could, you could switch out like Marrow or um, Myra, or I think Angel was even at the site.
I was about to ask because like I don't remember like unless I'm completely forgetting. Did Angel show up at all in this show?
There was somebody with wings at the party at Genosha that may or may not have been Angel.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. The one thing, if we're doing Apocalypse, we got to make Angel a main character at this point.
I think on Forge's wall it said missing on his name on Angel.
Okay.
So I think it could very well be Archangel, but I feel like didn't we already do Archangel on this show? I can't remember.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did Archangel. They actually did an entire episode dedicated to Angel. I think that was a season 5 episode where like he was being like super reckless because like there was the fear of Apocalypse coming back, and so like he was like kind of being a vigilante and all that. It's one of my favorites. And I don't know. I just if we do Apocalypse, I need Angel.
Okay. Um, Madeline, I'm iffy on. I could see this being them. If Cable's involved, I think Madeline could be a fun. Him having to fight his mom.
Yeah,
Uh, the opening credits did show the Hellfire Club for some reason, and that's why I'm thinking maybe they'll be involved in season 2. So that's why I've got Sebastian Shaw on the list. It was weird that they killed him off in Genosha, such a big player, and just kind of didn't mention it.
yeah.
So I think he might be a horseman. Of course, he was killed off around this time in the 90s in the comics, and his son took over for a while, Shinobi Shaw. So maybe we'll get Shinobi Shaw next season. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
And then Banshee's been a horseman before in Uncanny Avengers. So I could see that
Yeah.
happen.
Honestly, I think out of all of these, let's say that they do bring in Angel and then Angel becomes a horseman again,
Mhm.
I think he would replace Banshee in your list because
Okay.
I don't see Banshee and Angel being horsemen at the same time. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
No. Like I said,
They're
this is just random guesses.
yeah.
I've seen some other lists, like New Rockstars thinks it'll be X-Men, like it'll be Jean and Wolverine and Gambit and all this, and
Uh
I don't buy that as much.
so
Uh,
it takes the shock of Gambit away, you know?
yeah, I think New Rockstars they're thinking that Apocalypse sent at the X-Men through time. I don't think that's right. I think it's more likely Kang or some other force sent them. Maybe Mother Ascani sent them where they needed to be at different points in Apocalypse's life. But we'll get to that. All right. So that's my guesses for the Four Horsemen. I definitely think we're getting four. I'd almost guarantee we're getting Four Horsemen next season.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that's pretty much a lock, and I think everybody agrees with that. So, all right, what's next on my slides? Forge's X Men. I'm calling this. I think Forge is going to make a new X Men team, and I think this board gives you a pretty good idea who's going to be on it. I think I have a list here. Let's see. Bishop, of course, Iceman and Havoc, Exodus, Colossus and Kitty, Magic, Emma Frost, and Dust. I think those are all likely candidates to be on a new X-Men team.
So, do you think next season we spend more time with this new team than with our people?
I don't know. I think one of the big crimes of the original X-Men animated series is, does Kitty appear at all?
No.
In the,
Well, maybe one of I know Iceman appears in like one episode,
yeah, there's definitely an Iceman episode,
but it's just one episode.
and Havoc has shown up. Colossus appeared quite a few times. Um, I don't remember if Liliana Magic appeared. I know Morphus turned into her.
So Magic appeared as one of the so I believe the four horsemen in the OG show were all like Psylocke and like they were all telepaths, and
Mhm.
I think Magic was one of them.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure on that,
It,
but
it was a non-speaking role if she appeared.
yeah. Um, so
Um,
if
Kitty Pryde did not appear at all in the old show.
okay, yeah, so I think this show is going to fix that. I could see Kitty becoming a major character next season. Um, now one of the things I failed to mention earlier is this 3-part finale was kind of a mix of a bunch of different crossovers in the comic books. They mentioned Mutant Massacre and E for Extinction and Operation Zero Tolerance. One of the other ones that they did was Fall of the Mutants, where the X-Men fought the adversary and they got teleported away at the end, and the whole world thought they were dead. So that is, another storyline they're borrowing from. And when that happened, Kitty, Colossus, and Nightcrawler, not Colossus, Kitty, Nightcrawler, and Rachel formed Excalibur. So we could see Excalibur next season. We do have
I
some of those characters on the board.
I mean, I could see like they wouldn't call it Forge's X-Men. They'd probably just call it Excalibur.
Yeah, go to the next slide because I think this is some of the teams we may see. X Factor has been hinted in Forge's episode. There was a picture on the wall of all them together. You've got the Hellions and the New Mutants up at the top. Those are all Emma Frost has led all those. You've got, and they left Sunspot and Jubilee behind. So we could be seeing either Generation X or New Mutants forming next season. They did introduce Cannonball in season 5 episode of X-Men.
Yep.
So a lot of these characters are around, and we've got Emma around. I could see Emma.
Emma didn't play at all in this
No,
season.
no, but they made a point to say that she's alive. And again, she's in they showed the Hellfire Club at the beginning of this. So I think they're kind of hinting, hey, all season we've been showing you things to pay attention to, Apocalypse and Phoenix stuff. Hellfire Club is something you need to be watching out for.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I doubt we'll get Generation X, but we could see some of those characters as New Mutants, like a mix of these different groups.
Generation X and New Mutants were pretty similar.
Yeah, I think Magic, Jubilee, Sunspot, Cannonball, those are all pretty likely, and then maybe Wolfsbane, since she's been on the X Factor in the show's history. And we saw Multiple Man at Genosha, and Polaris was in it at this episode. So a lot of these characters are in play.
And Quicksilver.
Quicksilver, who's off-world, and Scarlet Witch is also off-world, according to Forge's map.
I think it said, Scarlet Witch is off-world. What do you think that means?
New Rockstars thinks that they're on the moon having an Inhumans wedding because Quicksilver marries Crystal. I think maybe there's an Avengers mission. This is 6 months later. Maybe they're off doing Galactic Storm or some crazy space Avengers mission.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're definitely going to see Forge form some kind of team. And this has happened a couple of times in the comics. I should put that picture up with it's like Myra, Banshee, Forge, Sunder, and Siren, and maybe Legion were a team at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, something like that. I definitely see him pulling a team together. Also, did we know that Forge's name was Daniel? Has that ever been established? Bishop called him Daniel.
I've always known Forge as Forge.
Yeah, I didn't know he had a name. Now, maybe something that was revealed like in the last 10 years when I haven't really been reading. But, yeah. Sometimes these movies and shows will give a character a name that has, like Rogue Gallson's Marie, and you're like, wait, was that her name?
Oh, this is interesting. So I just looked it up. Very interesting. This is on Wikipedia. Claremont's outline for the character's debut identifies Forge as Daniel Lone Eagle, although that name has not been used for the character in Marvel canon. So this is a Claremont name. It has just never been used.
That's cool. I'm totally fine with that.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Any other guesses for teams? And any of these teams, like if they went to a spin-off show, I'd be fine with these getting a spin-off.
Honestly, if we're gonna do Apocalypse again, this might be recency bias, but like X-Force would be dope.
Yeah, I just don't think we're there yet.
We're not there. We're not there.
Yeah, and they said Deadpool is off limits. So
I agree. I think. Who do you think is the closest that we have to Deadpool? That can kind of fill that role of being funny but serious, while not being a maniac killer.
Morph.
It would be Morph, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Because he's been Dark Morph. He's got the dark side in him. You have him struggling with that.
Yeah. So what is that X-Force team? Let's just let's just make an X-Force team right now with the characters that we have, and not assuming that it's going to be Dark Angel Saga, but like maybe
Well, Psylocke and Wolverine and Morph,
Angel.
Angel, and then you just I don't know who you're. Maybe Cable for Phantom X.
I could see that.
Yeah, because
Uh,
then you tie into the old classic X Force and stuff. And
yeah, you tie into Cable in the
oh,
X-Force.
that's the other thing I want to bring up. This New Mutant team, you could have Cable leading them because Cable
Yeah,
is AWOL right now, so you could
yeah,
definitely start setting up X Force.
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
yeah, I'm excited for the what is Forge is going to be doing in the present. I'd really cool if we could see some different teams form out of this. So, and maybe Val Cooper will try to reform X Factor, try to redeem her character because she was one of the big parts of X Factor. Um, so, all right, what's next? So the X-Men got sent to two different time periods. One of them is based off of the miniseries The Rise of Apocalypse. So this book might give us some hints. I think we'll probably get Ozymandias, who's in your upper right corner, to show up. He is one of Apocalypse's main servants. Who's is he immortal? I mean, I guess he's immortal, long lived, definitely. Um,
I don't know if he's so. I'm actually not familiar with Rise of Apocalypse. Um,
this was the main
yeah,
series that told the story of Apocalypse. Breaking free of slavery, and I don't know if it covered the stuff with the Celestials. Rama Tut in the upper left corner, that is one of the Kang variants. He's definitely around during this time period and has encountered Apocalypse back then. So I think we'll see him. Um,
yay!
and so that leads me to believe that maybe Kang is sending the X-Men back in time to stop Apocalypse and maybe help his rule in Egypt, and they won't know that it's Kang. Although Xavier's there, Xavier can just read his mind and say, "Oh wait, you're the bad guy," you
Yeah.
know. I also think the Celestials are going to show up, and we'll see and Summoner become Apocalypse.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I mean, I guess I. So if we're gonna do something quote unquote new with Apocalypse, I could see our teams having to see Apocalypse at the beginning and Apocalypse at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to stop him in both timelines, and then they get sent. Then they.
Or this might, in the past, may be Apocalypse the hero. Because if we want to get really out there, at some point he will become part of the organization Shield and Jonathan
Yeah.
Hickman series and fight off the Brood and Galactus at this time period.
Yeah.
And the Brood kind of appeared on X-Men animated series, but they kind of didn't. They weren't their traditional form.
They were called the Colony, I think.
Yeah. So I'd like to get a real Brood appearance next season. I think that would be a lot of fun. That is something new that they really haven't done. I mean, they kind of did, but not really. But yeah, I think if you want some hints about what's going to happen next season, I definitely would check out this mini series, or at least read up on Wikipedia and Apocalypse's Past with the Celestials. The other mini series that they're borrowing from, if you jump to the next slide, is the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. This was where, after Jean Grey and Cyclops got married, they were transported into the future by Mother Ascani, and I think their names were Red and Slim. They didn't tell Cable that they were from the past. They just told them they were, travelers named Red and Slim, and they got to spend 10 years raising Nathan as a kid. So I think I doubt they'll be there for 10 years of this cartoon, but this is
Maybe.
yeah, we don't know. But yeah, I would definitely check out this series if you're wanting hints about where they're going to come from. Rachel Summers is Mother Ascani that we saw at the end of the episode.
Yep.
I did not realize she was voiced by Gates McFadden, who is Dr. Crusher from Star Trek Next Generation. but she was doing
Really?
the voice. Yeah.
That's
So
that's fun.
yeah, I if you're going to introduce Strife, this is when to do it. But I don't know if we'll get Strife or not. That is Cable's clone, because here's the storyline comic book wise. Mr. Sinister wanted to create a weapon to kill Apocalypse. That is Cable. In the comic books, Apocalypse saw that baby Cable was a threat, so he infected him with a techno organic virus to kill him. The X-Men sent him to the future. The mother Scotty took him to the future, and they thought he was dying. The techno he wasn't going to survive. And like, well, we need this weapon, so they cloned him and made Strife, and then both babies survived. And so that's where Strife comes from. So we may get that, when they send baby Nathan to the future, like, oh, he's dying, we have to clone him, and Strife is born. They have touched a little bit on this stuff with Cable's son from the future in one of the episodes, Tyler. Yep. So we may see Cable's future wife and some of that stuff in this storyline. But I think it's interesting. We're seeing the beginning of Apocalypse and the ending of Apocalypse.
I think now the more we talk about it, I'm like, that's where they're going with it.
Yeah. So, and I don't think Apocalypse pulled them through time. It's either Mother Ascani, or it's Kang doing this, or maybe it's because of Cable doing so much stuff with time. Maybe he did, maybe that caused time to freak out and send them somewhere. I don't know. Bo DeMaio did talk about the episode Star Trek Next Generation Cause and Effect, in which the Next Generation crew gets stuck in a time loop and they have to break out of it. So I don't know. All right, let's go to the next slide. The radio at the end made mention of everybody's waiting for the second coming of Magneto. I still think we're heading to Onslaught.
Yay.
And also during this time, the clone Magneto showed up Joseph. So that also may be the reference to the second coming of Magneto.
I am cool with Onslaught if Mega Man and Ryu jump out of a portal. For those who don't know, Onslaught was the final boss of the original Marvel vs. Capcom.
So if you haven't read the comic books, when Xavier erased Magneto's mind after Magneto pulled the metal out of Wolverine, Xavier actually erased Magneto's mind and left him comatose. And all that psychic energy of Xavier doing a dark act mixed with Magneto's darkness, and it formed into this creature called Onslaught and took over Xavier's mind. Like the evil Magneto infected Xavier, mixed with him doing this dark act, it eventually became Onslaught. And then they broke Xavier away from that. It's a whole thing. I think the Onslaught story started really well. The first part is amazing, and then it just falls apart into Cameo City, as we were talking about earlier. It is just, oh, how can we fit Punisher into the story? How can we fit Spider-Man and his clone into the story? How can we do this? And it turns into a thing, and then the ending is kind of unsatisfying. Basically, they need Homo sapiens to fly into Onslaught to split up the psychic energy, and mutants it can't be mutants. It has to be regular humans. So all the Avengers and Fantastic Four jump into it. They all explode and vanish, and that's how we get the Heroes Reborn separate universe. It's not the ending you want to see. You want to see a final fight with Onslaught, instead of him, all the heroes, let's jump into him and disappear. And it's just kind of a ending. So if they improve the story like they did with Bastion this season, hey, I'm all for it.
I can see that.
Yeah. I still think we're heading towards Onslaught. A lot of people said, oh, we're not doing Onslaught now. I think we're still heading this way.
Yeah.
So that's it for my season 2 predictions. If you have other predictions, I'd like to see them in the comments. Most of my predictions for season 1 were completely wrong, and they may be completely wrong again.
Yep. Although I think now that we're at the end of season 1, I think we have a better idea of like the mission statement of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like I think that we assumed the mission statement was um let's get to Messiah Complex. But it seems more like the mission statement is let's finish what Claremont started.
Yeah, and let's remix things from the comic book in ways you're not expecting and tell a better story.
Yeah.
Here's a wacky idea. Insomniac gets his celestial technology in the past. Maybe Xavier does too and becomes Onslaught.
Yeah.
They're all there. Xavier and Magneto are there right now. So that would be like they twisted Bastion's story around, made it more interesting. I could see them doing something like that also.
Yeah.
And now that their psyches are like locked together in that bar, maybe they'll corrupt it further or something. I don't know.
I mean, like the bar thing, I found that very interesting. Has that been done before?
I think with like Shadow King and Xavier, they've had fights at the bar in the astral plane, but not.
Ooh. Didn't even think about Shadow King.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool characters they did not use this season, like Mystique, Sabretooth, Hellfire Club. They had like a little cameo, but not really. There's just a lot of characters on the table they have not touched this season, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So overall, super excited. Cannot wait till I think they said it'd probably be like winter 2025 before we get another season. So I think season 2 is in post production. Season 3 they're already making. So super excited. Let's ask this question to finish up. Do you want a Avengers cartoon or some cartoon that's non X-Men related? I mean, that's X-Men related, but not X-Men. Do we want that?
Not really. So I know you mentioned like spin-off ideas. So Spider-Man 98 I think is all but confirmed at this point.
Yeah, I think so too.
I honestly, a spin-off that I want, and I know it's like, oh my god, we're doing that again. I think we should leave Wolverine as kind of like a side character in the show, and then eventually just have like a Wolverine like 6-episode miniseries at some point.
A Wolverine Kitty 6-episode miniseries.
Oh yeah, that would be dope.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
And that would establish Kitty as a character. I agree. I mean, if anything, this season has proved that you don't need Wolverine to tell stories.
Yep.
He's very much been just a side character. Although I would kind of kill for a Wolverine Nightcrawler mini also.
Yeah, definitely. What if they make like a mini series that's like Brave and the Bold, where every episode is a different story, where he teams up with like Nightcrawler, one where he teams up with Rogue, one where he teams up with Kitty.
I'd be fine with a Marvel team up show with Wolverine
what are they called again? Is it just called Marvel Team Up?
The Thing series? Or no, that was the Spider-Man series with Marvel Team Up. The Thing series, Marvel 2-in-1.
I think Marvel 2-in-1 is a better name.
Yeah. They also did Marvel Comics Presents, where it was a different character every week. If I'm fine with that being a spin-off story. You just we're going to tell a Cloak and Dagger story this week. Oh, next week is Deathlock. Oh, next week is whatever.
I think the Ultimate Universe called it Ultimate Team Up, where it was like
Spider-Man and someone else every week or every issue.
And it was Daredevil and somebody, I don't remember who. It might have been Spider-Man too.
Yeah.
I think Bendis wrote those, so it probably was Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was Spider-Man every issue and a different superhero. So I remember the Fantastic Four issue being really weird, and then they did something completely different with Ultimate Fantastic Four when it came out.
Ironically, Ultimate Team Up is like the only time Ultimate Lizard ever showed up.
Was it? I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there was a
no, that's the interesting thing, because in Ultimate Spider-Man, they're building up Kurt Connors this entire time, and if you just read Ultimate Spider-Man, that never pays off, and so you have to read Ultimate Team Up to get the ending to that.
yeah. There were, everybody praises Ultimate Spider-Man, but there's some villains that he just did not, like Sandman. He did not really do a great story with them, or Vulture.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
was just
you know who he did well though, right?
the Shocker.
Shocker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We both agree on that one.
Yeah.
And I do like their take on Venom. I think trying to make a cure for cancer, making the
Yeah.
symbiote
I,
is cool.
I find it interesting. I in some cases I actually prefer it, just because, like, okay, this is a here comes Caleb's hot take. Um, uh, say what? Um, I almost prefer whenever Marvel doesn't get involved with space. So like if we can make the Venom not an alien, or if we can make I mean I even kind of like the Phoenix kind of being just like a bipolar alternate personality of Jean. Like, it's not done well in Last Stand, but I think there's a way to do that well.
Yeah, they kind of did that a little bit in Ultimate X-Men, a little
Yeah.
bit, or
Um.
that was some type of demonic force or something. I can't remember
Yeah.
what all they did, but yeah.
But I'm and here's the thing. This is me as a fan of Marvel Cosmic, but it still feels. I think uh out of any superhero team to deal with Cosmic, and I realize that they deal with it a lot in the comics, but for me, it just always feels weird whenever the X-Men deal with Cosmic.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Shi'ar stuff, but it gets overdone. It's I agree to a point.
Yeah.
But
Um, but yeah. As far as spin-offs, I think we're gonna get the Spider-Man 98. I
I
want,
I think we'll probably get an Avengers cartoon at some point. I
yeah.
don't want it, but I think we will, and maybe Fantastic Four down the road if the movie does well or whatever.
Bring back Avengers United, we stand, you cowards.
And if you bring back Fantastic Four, bring back the theme song. Just
uh,
call the four.
the Oh, you know what else? So going, just thinking back to those old 80s and 90s Marvel cartoons, uh, I remember Hulk being kind of good too. Like, I
Yeah,
don't I don't remember too much about it. I
it's
remember being pretty all right.
it's weird because they're kind of tying into the '90s cartoons for better or worse, and there's some good ones. Like I like Silver Surfer and X-Men, but then you've got the really bad ones. And it's kind of like,
Like
there's a better
Spider-Man.
Avengers cartoon, like 20 years down the road, the Earth's Mightiest Heroes or however long
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
You should be tying
Um,
into that one.
can I go ahead and just like make my case for why Spider-Man 98 should not exist?
Sure. We have both said that Spider-Man 97 is not the best Spider-Man cartoon. So
Yeah.
go ahead. What are some of your key takeaways of why it's not great? Some of your what's a keyword? Some of your Quiznos of
Some of
why.
some of my Quiznos. One word. It is just one word. Carnage.
I'm trying to
Do you
remember
know?
what Carnage was. It was something like Baron Mordo something. He did something.
So the main villain of the third season, because
Mm,
every season had like a main villain. The main
mm.
villain of the third season of Spider-Man was Dormammu,
Yes, yes, I remember that. Yes.
and Dormammu created Carnage.
I thought it was weird that show introduced Hobgoblin before Green Goblin,
There's a reason why, but I can't remember what the reason is.
and that Electro is German. Was a
Yeah,
German, had a German heritage.
yeah. I don't know if I've said this before, but 90s Spider-Man sucks.
With the exception of a few episodes, yes, I agree 100%. The Venom
Sucks.
Saga is fun.
The Venom
Uh,
Saga is fun.
you do get a lot of Punisher with a headband running around.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what? Here, give me 1 second. This is how we'll end this off. I'm just gonna look up the the animated series because I want to see what episodes I actually think are good because there's not a lot of them.
I think the finale is excellent.
Yeah,
The two
I
part
will.
finale is a lot of fun.
I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that.
I think some of the Green Goblin episodes are fun.
Uh, let's see. The Spot episode. That's what got me into Spot. That's why I love Spot.
Spot's fun.
So the alien costume's good.
I think Spot is much more interesting in motion than he is on a comic book. You're able to do it more.
Do you remember? They weren't the Sinister Six. They were the Insidious Six.
Yeah, I remember that.
Let's see. I didn't like the Hydro Man stuff.
No,
The Morbius stuff sucks.
no, it doesn't. He's not allowed to suck your blood. Well, I guess his hands suck your blood.
His hands.
Well, they don't suck your blood either. It's your plasma. He's a plasma cells, but
Yeah.
he's making money at the plasma bank.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to. Oh my god! I didn't realize this. Green Goblin didn't come in until like halfway through season 3.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I did like Green Goblin. He was fun. And the episode where he, Mary Jane disappears through the portal. I thought that's a cool episode where Spider-Man just loses it. It was kind of a Gwen Stacy moment.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of enjoyed the Daredevil 2-parter. That was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Venom Returns and Carnage. Was
it Iron Man involved or something?
That was an Iron Man crossover. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then right after that was the Spot. Oh, Goblin. Okay, Goblin War was cool because it was Green Goblin versus the Hobgoblin.
Yeah. People don't remember that most of the series was just Kingpin and Alistair Smythe in a wheelchair talking most of the show.
Yeah.
And nobody changed clothes. They always wore the same outfits.
Let's see. This show sucks.
I don't think it was the fault of the writers. They had a lot of restrictions placed on them by Fox, what they could not do on the show.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Fox said, "Hey, we need to have Electro be German."
Well, I think Avi Arad also, or Avi Arad.
Oh, wait, hold on. What did the first True Believer?
Yeah.
Six Forgotten Warriors sucked. Obviously.
That's the Wizard and all those guys, right?
Yep. Return of Hydro Man sucked.
Mary Jane being a clone sucked.
Secret Wars sucked. How do you make Secret Wars suck this bad?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, and Spider Wars was cool.
Yeah, Spider Wars I think is probably the best episode of the series, the 2-parter right there.
You know what? It's between that and the alien costume. But I think as far as making something new, Secret Wars definitely. Not Secret Wars, Spider Wars. Spider Wars. Yeah, Spider Wars definitely.
It is Spider-Verse. It was the Adventure Spider-Verse, and then Dan Slott takes all the credit.
Yeah.
Look what I came up with.
But it's actually it's John Semper's. So
yep.
Which I wonder if they do 98 if they'll bring back John Semper.
One of the guys from the original, I think Larry Houston's his name, one of the X-Men animated series guys, is a consulting producer on X-Men 97.
Okay, gotcha.
So
but yeah, on the whole, the show sucks.
Yeah.
um,
And
but
we
yeah,
both agree if you're going to bring back something, Spectacular Spider-Man's a much better choice.
yep,
Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
yep.
And you've even said the Spider-Man MTV show for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If you would have asked me, hey, what X-Men show to bring back, I would have said Wolverine and the X-Men.
Oh, yeah, Wolverine the X-Men
Yeah.
because it doesn't have an ending.
Yeah.
It had the one season, it was teasing
I,
Age of
I mean,
Apocalypse and just
it,
ended.
here's the thing. If you ignore that Age of Apocalypse stuff, it actually has a pretty decent ending.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's kind of like Heroes, where like if you ignore like the last 5 minutes of season 1 of Heroes, you got a really solid maxi
So
series.
I get a lot of my X-Men shows mixed up. Is that the one where Phoenix did something at the beginning and like the
Yep.
mansion got destroyed and that's why Wolverine's kind of journeying or whatever and
Yeah.
reform the X-Men?
Yeah, and where Scott is Scott's kind of like Scott is essentially a drunk without being a drunk because it's a cartoon, and Xavier is like in the future with Bishop and Marrow.
Yeah, they think Xavier died and they find out yeah, I remember now. And like he's talking to him through the past or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. What a show. It was
I
fantastic.
remember I thought the best moment of that show was where Nightcrawler teleports all the way across the ocean and he's exhausted.
Yep.
He's trying to warn him about something and then it's Mystique or whatever. It's like he fails.
You know, they even had like a love interest that I never thought of, but I'm like, I kind of get it. Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, because Nightcrawler dated what's his sorcerer stepsister or whatever in the comics. So yeah, he would. Yeah, I can't remember her name. It's Amanda Sefton or whatever.
Not familiar.
It's Claremont. Weird. You know when Claremont gets weird, it's that that stuff.
Day Tripper.
Yeah.
That's a horrible name.
That's a if you want to go down the rabbit hole, read all of Nightcrawler's history. That's some crazy stuff. If you thought Cable's history was crazy, read Nightcrawler's history. It goes some wild places.
All right.
And I'm not even talking about the Mystique Destiny stuff. I'm talking about the other stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about Azazel. I'm talking about all the stuff of Amanda Sefton and her mom and all that stuff. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Chris Claremont, but some of his stories just go some crazy places. So, all right. So next week's episode, like I mentioned earlier, TMNT has a IDW comic series, issue 150. If it's not out now, it'll be out very soon. And that's ending Sophie Campbell's run on the book, and it's going to be relaunched. I want to say this fall with Jason Aaron. So we thought we'd talk about some of our favorite, or I guess my favorites, since Caleb hasn't read any of them, IDW TMNT stories. And I'll just give you a hint. None of them will be written by Sophie Campbell. So they'll be mostly from the first 100 issues. But yeah, we'll be talking about that next week. And I'll be telling Caleb all these stories that he doesn't know anything about.
Yeah. I mean, like,
but he should.
I know Mirage. That is my exposure.
Yeah. So that'll be next week. But until then, I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
We'll catch you next time in the Shark Pond.
See ya.